Welcome to the Love Government. I'm Dennis Leary. I'm the inventor of the Love Government. You're very welcome. We're going to be doing a series of videos here entitled Sex Signs. The Love Government is about love, naturally. That's the middle word of the phrase. Love is where we're going, love is where we come from, and love is our program of action. In the Love Government, and I'm speaking for the Love Government, we think it's very important that we do something to help our suffering world. The world is in trouble, believe it or not, or know it or not, and the Love Government is an alternative that we're offering to all of us. In this series, we're going to be focusing on sex signs because I feel that sex is where it's at in lots and lots of ways. If we're going to be serious about solving the problems in our world, we have to address the sexual underlying issue. Because I believe that sexuality is the big problem. The lack of love is also the big problem. So when I speak of love or sex, I'm putting them together because they belong together. Love and sex go together. Now, we're going to be focusing on sexual signs. What are the signs that distinguish a fulfilling sex life versus something that is not fulfilling, or even worse, something that doesn't work at all, or even becomes perverse? We get off the track, so to speak. The Love Government is founded on what I call the love culture. Now, what is the love culture? Culture is a big word that includes our lifestyles, the way we think, what we do, the things that we use, and so on. It's a style of living. The love culture that I'm going to be talking about, not only here but in all the other venues of the Love Government, is different than the culture we're living in today. The culture that we live in today is not much about love. Of course, there's love in it, because we talk about it all the time. But the love culture is not very strong in the culture we're living in today, if you look deeply and analyze the situation. We're really living in a power culture and a money culture, because that's what's running us. And there are people who are programming us and running it on the basis of money or power. Now, naturally, if you tell the truth about things, it doesn't fly too far. So the truth is very often covered up with a whole surface of lies. The Love Government is going to go directly to the issues that we feel are important. These issues are not necessarily going to be popular or easy, or are they going to be practiced by very many. In fact, they probably will be practiced by very few. But that doesn't matter. One of us, just one of us, can make a difference in this world, a huge difference, not only for ourselves, but for the world at large. And I say that because of the notion that everything is connected. We're all interconnected, although we're separate. So I'm going to talk initially here on these series of videos we're doing, and we anticipate doing quite a number of them, because it's a long story. It's to tell, and it takes a bit of time. These episodes are going to be about 15 minutes long, because that's a length of time that most of us can handle. In our culture, we're conditioned now to having things very short and to the point. You know, the advertisements that you see are like 30 seconds long, if that, or 15 seconds long. So we do it in sound bites quickly. But 15 minutes is a reasonable time. So we're going to have episodes divided up into 15-minute segments. So there's no hurry, no worry, no muss, no fuss. We can take our time and we can go into the subject gradually. As I said, I want to talk about the love culture. Now, what is the love culture? This is what the love government refers to. This is our foundation. I'm going to use some images and some pictures that I'll present. The pictures that I have in my mind, I'm going to present to you. Picture this. Picture 100,000 years ago. You know, get on your time machine and hit the right buttons and go back 100,000 years ago and to Africa. Out of Africa. I think there was a movie called that, wasn't it? Out of Africa. That's where we came. That's where we were born. The scientists that study the matter think it was East Africa near the big lake, which used to be called Lake Victoria. This is our starting point in the love government, is that period of time and space where we appeared as a human species. It took many, many years for us to get there. Long period of development, millions of years, even billions of years if you take into account the formation of the Earth. So it's like 7 million years ago we separated from the chimps. And even today we have the same genes as they do, up to 97, 98%. We're the same as the genes. And then 15 million years ago we separated from the gorillas, and so on and so forth. So we appeared on the scene relatively lately, where Johnny comes latelys on the scene. And we were very, very different than the animals all around us. The main thing that was different about us was our sexuality, especially with regard to the woman. Her sexuality changed radically. And remember, in developmental time, this is relatively quickly. We appear on the scene, almost like by magic, there in the tropics in Africa. The scene there, if you can picture it, was that of a lush jungle with some flat open areas. The myths speak of a Garden of Eden, and it was like that for us when we appeared. We were young, we were beautiful, we were strong, we were relatively innocent. So there we are. We have appeared as a species. Now today we can track this. You can track, scientists do gene studies. They track us back to a common mother, about that time period. I'm just using 100,000 years as a round number. Could be 200, whatever. By gene studies, you can go back and you can have a sense that we had a common mother about that time. They call her African Eve, mitochondrial Eve, or Eden Eve. Eve means the mother of all the living. And that's where we come from. We come from that mother. Now, how we got there, I'm not going to go into that. That's another track. You know, were we created by God, or were we created by a goddess, or were we created by people from a star galaxy that came and did us, or was it just pure impersonal type of evolution? I tend to the explanation that we were created by somebody who I call superior, more intelligent lovers, because we were created as lovers. This label that we are used to, Homo sapiens, is real dubious to me. First of all, Homo leaves out half the human race. I mean, you could have called it femina sapiens. And then the other word, sapiens, is really debatable, whether our species has much wisdom. Sapiens means wisdom. Do we have much wisdom, really? We have a lot of technical skills, but if we can't even guarantee our own sustainability, is that very wise? No, I don't think so. So I think we got the label wrong when we call what we call ourselves, and it's important to get the labels and the names and the descriptions correct about who we are. Otherwise, we're going to be taking the wrong step right at the beginning. We're going to be going in the wrong directions. We got ourselves labeled wrong. So the label that I use for us, and which, again, I say I'm projecting out into the love government, is that of lovers. We were made to be lovers. That's the reason that we're here on the planet, is to learn about what true love is and what false love ain't, to know the difference. Our minds are constructed and they operate on differences. If I have a right hand here and I have a left hand here, and they're different. They're not the same. You couldn't know white unless you also knew black, and the differences in between. So it's the difference that makes us what we are. We were different when we arrived than the animals, and we're different by reason of sexuality. So the love culture upon which the love government is based is a love culture. If we have any doubt about the fact that we were constructed and made for love, we only need to look in the mirror and we see that we are different. There's two kinds of us. There's man and there's woman. That sets us up to be lovers. It's encoded in our bodies. We are sexual beings. And in the love culture that I'm going to try to describe as best I can, the sexuality that they had was not like ours. Our sexuality is laden, burdened with many things that are not very desirable. Guilt and shame and punishment and lots of control, and also people in our culture, which I call an anti-love culture. People have been turned into objects. They're no longer persons so much, but they have been turned into objects. It's called using people for profit or for your own selfish purposes, and it's an intrusive process by which you hurt people. And that's the basic problem that we have in our culture. We have lost our groundings in a love culture or a love society, which is based on respect, reverence for people as persons, which means that they are more than objects. They're not objects. They're mysteries almost, because what is a person? But that's a whole other subject that for consideration. That's another track that I'm not going to go down, but we're going to accept the fact that when we appeared as human beings, we are persons. We're not objects for sale or commerce. Now, in the love culture, they understood that. Well, they didn't. I don't think they even had minds quite like ours, but they were in the middle of nature. And we happen to be filming, by the way, I'm looking around here, in a nature scene. We happen to be in a greenhouse, and we're filming in a midst of nature. So in this first episode now, I'm setting the scene for what's going to follow. We're going to have more episodes, 2, 3, 4, etc. But the foundation is this love culture of which we are a part. And we still enjoy it, and we can still build it up again. We can restore it. We can get further into it. We can get more solidly grounded in it. So thank you very much for listening. I'm Dennis Leary, and if you want more information, go to our website called The Love Government. And it's Love Government, well, you see it posted in print up front here on the video. Thank you, and have a very wonderful day.